Hello and welcome to another retro video on this channel. This time we'll be taking a look at Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon, as you can probably tell by the gameplay footage in the background. As I've said in other videos, I'm a big Moonie, or that is, a fan of anything Sailor Moon, manga, anime, you name it. It was my inroad into anime, and I'll just say that the 90s anime is especially a great show. It's got lots of charm and lots of comedy, basically touches on all parts of what you can do when telling a slice of life story about a magical girl.
What's the big deal? I'll be quick.
There were quite a few Sailor Moon games with similar style beat-em-ups for the SNES and Genesis. Typically, you'll need to look out for the Japanese name. So, this, however, is the arcade. It's a fairly simple, solid beat-em-up common to the era. It uses a 3-button control system, attack, jump, and magical attack. Though, you can do a few simple and obvious combos. Mashing buttons will have you stun lock an enemy and eventually knock them over. Run and punch will do a sliding attack. Jump and attack will do what you might expect, like a jumping kick or a sliding kick. The cool part I always quite like is that walking into your opponent will go into like a grapple, and it's kind of fun because you get to choose the direction in which to throw them. And as you can see, you spend a lot of time smashing enemies into each other, either by knocking them over or by throwing them around. There are a few others, of course, but you can usually figure out what those variations are, and they do what you might expect. So, the game itself, well, it's basically based in the first season of the show. And so for some TV history, each of the seasons of the show took around a year to play out on TV in Japan, starting in March 1992. Now, this came out in 1995, so audiences were basically onto Sailor Moon Super S, which, to be fair, is probably my favourite season. Queen Nehelenia is an awesome villain, but anyway, that's besides the point. So, back to the game. The game plays out over 8 stages. The order of the bosses is kind of funny because it doesn't actually follow the show at all, and it is a little bit strange for that. Ultimately though, it is Season 1, and our final boss will be Queen Beryl, and that's all we should really know. The backdrop to Stage 1 is largely the streets of the Juban district. The first boss we fight is Castor and Pollux, who appear in episode 21. As I said, it's not in any kind of order. It's a really good episode if you want to see the show. It's about strong friendships and the power that one might get when working closely together as a team. So these two enemies are strongest when close together.
It's very silly to think that you even have a chance against us. Oh, we'll stop you! See?
The whole episode is basically about powerful friendships, so true to form, your strategy is to separate them, prevent them from shocking you when they get close. They are a complete annoyance, and it's actually probably one of the hardest bosses. So yes, this arcade game was designed to get you to pump quarters into it to get through some of the bosses. After that, we take back to the streets, in the shopping area, Azabu. So we do see some familiar locations in the background from the show, and our main boss in this is Morga, who Sailor Moon fights in episode 1 of the show. Literally the first enemy that she fights. But anyway, here we are, fighting her after Castor and Pollux. Sure, why not? So for context, this episode, Morga has taken the place of Naru's mother. Naru is Usagi's best friend. So she's taken the place of the mother.
Stop, Mom! What are you doing?
I'm not your mother, you pathetic little girl.
And he's selling jewelry as a way to gather energy for Queen Beryl.
And who might you be?
And in this fight, she stays in the air and glides around. You can sort of just get under her and keep hitting. It's not too bad of a boss. About halfway through, who turns up? Tuxedo Mask, who does exactly what he does in the show, which is not a whole lot. He will throw a rose, say a bunch of lines, and then leave. We do get some health back, and it's back to the fighting. So once that's done, the game continues, and we have a few cutscenes, which is really nice. It's a pretty good touch. These types of things with animations would have been totally missing from home consoles for the most part. So to see animated cutscenes like this, not to mention the different special attack animations which you can sometimes get, it really sets the scene that it's definitely a Sailor Moon beat 'em up, and it's not just some average, run-of-the-mill, cheap-skinned up beat 'em up game. Now, it's also kind of funny, I quite like the beginning of this because there's like a family in the background and it's like a fight breaking out in the middle. Anyway, the backdrop goes from what looks like a town to a junkyard. It's obviously not an amazing place for our girls to walk around in heels, but that doesn't seem to bother them. And this is where the enemies really start to sort of ramp up in a little bit of difficulty, which is quite a nice touch. I've not played that many beat-em-ups recently, but my experience is largely with this era. And enemies would usually just be different colour versions with more health or do more damage. That's true here too, but the enemies do come in different skins and will execute different special moves more frequently, not to let you slap them around quite as easy as you did in the earlier stages. So our boss in this stage is Kurene. I believe I pronounced that correctly, I'm not sure. She's from actually episode 6 of the anime, an episode all about Usagi thinking that being into jazz makes you a person that is very mature. And I mean, fair enough, I guess, but anyway, the battle takes place in an open-air theatre, not in a junkyard. There is a scene in a junkyard, but it's completely not as it's shown here.
I bet that Haydn, the father of music, would be really mad too.
But Bach's the father of music.
Don't be a know-it-all, you're making me look bad.
Anyway, we get half the battle in the junkyard, and then we get a fantastic cutscene and a fight restarting on a platform of Tokyo Tower. Again, it's really awesome. It's like really visually appealing to get this sort of like change in location, nice little cutscene in the middle. It kind of gives you that little bit of a break and like an almost, I'm not going to say a wow moment, but as close as to a wow moment as you're going to get. Stuff like this can happen in the show, and characters posing in positions and then jumping down. It does actually happen a fair few times. So, final bit of trivia for this: if you saw the Deke dub, you missed this episode. It got cut out. And once that stage is done, we go into stage 4. So this takes place in the Crystal Seminar, and straight away, if you recognize the sign behind the timer, it's the episode we get to see Ami join the gang. So Ami is Sailor Mercury, of course. Here we fight our way through different rooms and hallways and eventually get to the classroom, which is actually where the battle takes place in the episode. Basically, they're using some program to brainwash and take away energy, and here we fight Garaben.
It's about the genius Isaac Newton. Answer me this. Why do apples fall from trees?
Seriously? That's the question? Don't ask me, go ask an apple!
You failed! That wrong answer gets you this!
This would be episode 8. Here, Amino is our victim rather than Ami, but that's fine. This boss hits hard. It's one of those ones which is kind of brutal. Either way, it's there to sort of suck up your quarters, as most of the bosses are. So anyway, it's a fairly cute episode of the show. It kind of shows that despite the fact that Ami and Usagi are completely the opposite in terms of their, let's say, intellectual skills, it shows that basically Usagi is able to make friends with literally anyone. And that's a theme which continues throughout the show. Most of the girls at school don't like Ami. They think she's stuck up or too smart. And Usagi, no worries.
Listen, Ami, you want to go play some video games with me?
Okay, but I've never played one.
Don't worry about
Actually, she's got an ulterior motive. She wants her to help her with her homework. Anyway, from there, we go to stage 5. And we notice that we are in the dock area. And if you have seen the show, this will be hinting at episode 33. And this is where our party fights Zoisite. It is also the entrance of Sailor Venus. Zoisite disguises himself as Sailor Moon in order to get the drop on Tuxedo Mask. And what I always find really, really funny about the show is that disguises are just so bad. You know, like, I find it's one of those funny jokes, running gag, where everyone knows that Usagi is Sailor Moon, but like nobody in the show knows that she's Sailor Moon because reasons. And it's the same thing. There are several episodes where they disguise Sailor Moon, or they disguise someone else as Sailor Moon, and it's just awful. Like, it's so obvious that it's not Sailor Moon, and yet all the characters are always like, is this Sailor Moon? Anyway, there's stuff. It's not in the game, so I should shut up. So, basically, we fight Zoisite, defeat him, and clear the stage. And that's about the shortest version of that story. Stage 6 is technically Nephirite's mansion. After a short trip through a rather foreboding-looking forest, I think it's a reference to the story between Nephirite and Naru, in which Nephirite manipulates Naru to get information about the silver crystal, and in this stage, that doesn't play out at all. Instead, we fight two more Kurenes as twins, and we actually never get to see Nephirite in the game, so I'm not really going to bother discussing him. Once that stage is done, we go to stage 7. It's pretty amazing, because I absolutely loved this episode in the show. It starts out with a girl carrying an absolute unit of a cat called Rhett Butler, obvious references, as Zoisite shows up and turns it into a monster. Now, this is episode 31 of the show, and it starts out with Luna getting into a bit of a scrape with a bunch of angry, kind of like wild alley cats. Rhett there shows up and saves her, so it's almost like this parallel between Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask, between Luna and Rhett Butler. It's pretty great. As per the game, the cat gets transformed into Bakine, I would say, is its pronunciation. I'm probably wrong. With Sailor Moon turning up and using moon healing escalation to return Rhett Butler back to Rhett Butler. Lots of things happen in this episode, but it does sort of focus on the cats mostly, and it's like the girls get a week off, essentially. But anyway, in the game, we have to fight Bakine, and 3 times, in fact, and then we clear the stage. The first time is in the arcade, second time is in a grocery store, and the third time is just on the street. And so, yeah, once we've beaten him, the girl comes and collects her cat and leaves. It's a fantastic episode, and I love the fact that they included it in this game. The final round starts, and we're in D Point. So this is like the Arctic. And our characters are going to look somewhat cold in these small skirts and little uniforms. And we're going to go here and fight a couple of bosses. First is the tag team between Zoisite and Kunzite. The fight would appear easier with 2 players, but basically just focus on not getting hits against you while you get hits in while you can. Technically, it takes place in episode 44.
Member of the Dark Kingdom's 4 Kings of Heaven! You can't make me yell out refresh ever! What? Impossible.
Just slug it out, slug through it, and you've done it. Basically, from here, you've got like maybe 2 screens to get through, and then you're on to the final boss, which is, as I said, Queen Beryl. So they basically don't do the DD girls as they do in the show. It would be hard to do that, though, because, spoilers, everyone dies getting Sailor Moon to her final fight. It was largely cut out of the Geek dub, original shown in the US. So anyway, in the game, we do fight Queen Beryl, who is an absolute beast. The key, though, is to try and do jump kicks soon after she appears. If she does get hold of you or slaps you around, you take like 50% of health. It's absolutely brutal. And so, yeah, pump those quarters in and slug your way through.
You'll pay for this, princess. I cannot and will not forgive you for once again trying to take Endymion away from me!
And that's it. Once we're finished, roll credits. You've just beat Sailor Moon, the arcade game. It's really worth a play for anyone who is a fan of Sailor Moon, just because it's so much better than the beat-em-ups that you get on the Genesis and the SNES. Those games are so much simpler, the graphics are simpler, and they are just much, much easier. This is far more of a challenge. The graphics are beautiful, animation is superb, there's lots of these really, really great touches. So yeah, that's it.